Good evening and a very warm welcome to the Royal Opera House this evening, both to our audience here in the Claw studio upstairs and to all of you worldwide who are watching the live stream via our YouTube channel. I'm Emma Southworth. I'm the senior producer for the Royal Ballet, and for tonight's Insight we're going behind the scenes of a ballet that premiered last night downstairs on the big stage of the Royal Opera House. That ballet, The Wind, was created for the Royal Ballet by choreographer Pita, who is of course joining us this evening. Inspired by Dorothy Scarborough's book and the subsequent 1928 silent movie, The Wind is a tale of a young woman, Letty, in rural Texas, whose sanity gradually unravels in the grip of a tumultuous, claustrophobic and ultimately supernatural force that is the wind. Let's take a look. The Wind is being performed here at the Royal Opera House as part of a mixed bill with Twyla Tharp's new work, The Illustrated Farewell, and Hoffa Schechter's Untouchable until the 17th of November. Do visit the Royal Opera House website to get your hands on those very last few tickets. We have got a fabulous lineup for this evening. We are, of course, going to be joined by Pita to talk about his new work. We're also going to hear from his creative team about realising Arthur's artistic vision. And we're going to see dancers from the Royal Ballet, Edward Watson, Francesca Haywood and Thomas Mock in rehearsal. And of course we want to hear from you this evening, so do leave us your comments, your thoughts, your questions on the comments section of our YouTube page. But now let's give a very warm welcome to Pita. So Arthur, we opened last night.
We did.
We're just about to see a rehearsal though, because the cast last night, there's actually two casts.
Yes.
And so Francesca, who's going to rehearse now, hasn't done the performance yet.
Yes.
So what are we going to see you rehearse with her?
We're going to look at actually the final solo, which is the point to which the whole where the whole piece kind of builds to the climax of the character. Great. So basically, she kind of eventually she sort of gets stripped down as the piece builds, yeah. And there's a very important character that Ed Watson plays called Moara, who is he's a Comanche warrior, spirit, ghost. And our backstory for him is that maybe that he might have been trapped, that his soul might have been trapped in the wind as a warrior. And so we're also looking at 1880s, turn of the century, yep. Texas. So there's a point where she has just murdered her abuser, rightfully, and yeah, and. But obviously, it's a change for her. I feel like the metaphor of the wind is also is very important at this point, because you feel like even though it's been tormenting her, it might also have been giving her the courage to confront. But then when she meets Ed's character, he makes himself visible to her. So she's seeing really a ghost. Yes. And she's also seeing, probably for the first time in that area, an Indigenous person. And then what they go through together is some kind of ritual, which we'll discuss with them now.
Great.
I'll tell you what that's going to be about. But that's what we're looking at now. So it all builds to that climax.
I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, guys. Hi. So we're just going to look at this final moment. What I discovered now, Frankie, with this new bit where the fabric blows out, is that the symbolism of that, it feels like there's definitely something within her that releases. I don't know whether it's it's fear or whether it's actually her soul, actually, that she's seeing going. It's like, it's a nice ambiguous thing, but there's something fantastic about it. So when you meet Ed, it's like he's taking you through this ritual, and then once you get stuck into it and you get lost, and the fabric comes out, which is like the wind revealing itself for its final time, and it releases. There's something that releases in you, and I don't know whether it's, yeah, and that's what we can figure out how to play it ambiguously because of the moment at the very end as well, which is when you walk off into the desert and kind of in that silence. So it should feel ambiguous. What we should do, your entrance last night, that was much better. Yeah. Sorry, so I'm going to just, because you are here. So, you are real. So basically, we opened last night. So something we're still trying to get over the shock of that. And I made a very last-minute change to Ed's appearance in this final scene. So she will shoot her abuser. And we had a moment where it was quite a long time before we didn't see the ghost. So I made him appear much sooner, which definitely worked much better last night because it means that he can come around the wind machine and then reveal himself to Letty, to Frankie's character, much sooner. So, so that was definitely good. So Frank is also going to play with us. There's some music that he's got a little bit in between. But that cue was good, even though I thought it was maybe like 2 seconds. Too early. Too early, did you think? Yeah. I felt slightly. Just slightly, but that's okay, it worked. So for you, Frankie, so let's just go to this point. So you're over here on the tracks, and you've just shot him, okay? And it's really nice that the audience get your face. So as you've done this, we get your face out in that shock. And I actually think last night, I think Natasha dropped the gun a little bit too soon. I think you enjoy the tension of that silence. Mm-hmm. It'll go completely silent. The wind has stopped. Everything has stopped. And we've just got the lovely sound of the gun, the weight of the gun going, yeah. And then you creep out as you hear the wind come back. You start to creep out, and you've got this lovely journey going across to what is to this wind machine over here, which is where you crouch on. It's a little bit longer than what you had from before because it just slightly less, space-wise, yeah. So it'll feel a bit longer. Okay. But I think you can crouch down here and enjoy this moment for a bit longer. And then you start to feel on the hairs of your back that he's coming, and you're going to edge yourself back, and then he's going to reveal himself to you. And then what's really good is that you have a really nice equidistance, that you're in that wind machine over there, and Ed is in that wind machine over there. And then we have the moment where you both look at the dead man over here. Yeah. Oh, no, you did something very good when we first did it, which is definitely keeping, which you looked back at his body. Do you remember that? Yes, you did that, and you had a little look back there. I mean, because I think that's, I mean, it's so massive for her to do that. That was good. So let's keep that. Okay. So, and then just remember, so this is the first time your head is spinning, and it's the first time you're seeing this character has revealed himself to you. There's been a journey with him sort of following you from the beginning, and this is the climactic moment. So first of all, it's, what is that? and who is he, and what is this? And what he really, what he is really symbolic of is also the spirit of the wind. So actually when he's coming, he has the force to make you move. So he's kind of putting you under his spell as well, which is the spell of the wind. And then once we start to get stuck into that, then I think we'll do this first section, and we'll just want to go through the solo and talk about all the different movements and what they can mean, and how you can just play with them a little bit more to color them. Okay, so Ed comes, all right, and then we have 3/8, right? And then there's another 8 here, and this is really good that you feel, the chills on your back. There's a little bit of a release, and then you stare back at him. Just hold on, Ed. So the moment, that's really nice, you feel this something around you. The moment he goes there, I think, go back to the human being.
He's really there.
Yeah, that he's really there, but I think it's about watching him. So both of this is about watching each other. He's been watching you, now you're watching him, and then as you're going away, he's watching you. So there's a lot of eye contact going on there. So we get this moment, so we get the hairs on the back. Yeah, and then he's free. Now look at him there. So a little bit, so just a little bit sooner, Frankie, yeah. You watch him going, that's it. Then he's going to go into this movement. This is all good. And I think you're quite, sorry Ed, you're quite held in the fact that it's like, because that's just happened, and then this has just happened, and now he's like, so it's like, so there's sort of tension in the body, yeah. He's going, okay, he's carrying on. Okay, and then this is what we wanted to get there. Is there a way? Yeah. I even thought last night, did you? Yeah. A little bit closer. Is it, where should we shave the space a little bit? Do you think it's on these ones? Yeah. Let's go there. Oh, you're going to go inwards. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. That's good. Okay. So he'll be right next to you and he's got whoosh. That's good. And I think, Ed, when you do that, and Frankie, just make sure that there is that there's enough space. I mean, don't get too close, but you almost want to. There's a sort of a bubble of air over here that you're pushing that, and that's making her go. And it's really lovely when you've got that lovely. I know it's quick. It's 4 counts, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Okay, good. And then he's going. Yeah, and exactly, then you see him, good, and does the bourrées. Very, very, very nice. Good, yes. Good, okay, into the jeté. We'll go around, 7, 8, sorry, we've got to count. Is this on a 1, 2, 3, 4? 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 2, 3, 4. Let's just go back to that little bit. So what I want to get the sense of is that you're really, that you're watching essentially, you're really learning from him. So in a way, he's demonstrating the phrase, and you're going to a canon afterwards, and you're like, and somehow it's coming into your body, and you're following him, but you don't quite know how it's coming in, but that's part of the spell. So just clock that in. You should just go from the jumps across the stage. And that's also a really nice moment of eye contact. Yeah, so you go, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, da, dee, da, this, that, bum. Yeah, good, nice, yes. Round you go. Nice, nice. Falling back. Very good. Okay. Okay, let's just do that little sequence again. Very nice. Yeah. So in a way, because we're kind of saying that he's invisible, when you're going in the air and you're getting tumbled and moved around, it's really like it's happening magically. You know, that's sort of like I'm imagining in my head that the wind has picked you up and you're starting to elevate. Also, because I have to say there's another very important thing, the very first gesture that Ed does in the whole piece is that, which means ascend, okay? And I think this is what we're building up to here. So the whole thing is about that you will somehow ascend, whether it's into your freedom or whether it's to her death, one of the two. There's those two places to go to. So this is the start of that. So in a way, when you're going into this first bit, can you almost imagine, I know he's lifting you, but can you imagine that it's almost happening invisibly, that you're being lifted invisibly? Yes, that's nice quality, yes. We. Are you okay? You're so convinced. You okay? I think she was floating so much that she just got completely lost. You're right, John. You want to try that again? Nice. Yes. That's beautiful, Frankie. And then I feel like she could just fall ever slightly more, like you could just risk it a little bit more. Do you have enough time? I know it's a bit of a rush there, but it's even like, even with you, if you're boring and there's a little stop before you go, so there's that little, just put the brakes on and suspend before you fall back. Is that comfortable? Yes, much better. And whoosh. Nice. And again, nice. Nice. Good, good, good. That's much better. Carry on from there. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. Great. So, Frankie, just a little bit, sorry, just a little, there's this little moment where you are in unison here, and then you break away over here when you go into the attitude. Can you just get your eye back on him? So I think in a way, between the two of you, it's like play the game with each other, you know. And I think that will just help keep this eye contact going, because sometimes she's there and sometimes she's not there, and sometimes you're there, and it's like you're playing around. Do you want to just go from the unison? Is that on a 1? Okay. I'll give you 5, 6, 7, 8. 7, 8, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0, 1, 2, 3.
Is that the solo? So I kind of lost.
Yeah, I also lost it. So you go there. Aren't you going around him now?
Just very past him.
Oh, you just buried, yeah. And actually what I realized yesterday, in a way, I think what works better is if you get closer to him.
This way.
Yeah, so it's almost like the same thing that he did to you. So there's, and I feel like the game is like, where is he now? So if you've gone past him, but where is that spirit? So when you're going here, there's this, and it's a little bit like how he did that to you. So you don't see him there, because now he's going to push you this way, right? You're going to guide her that way.
Yeah.
I will see. You need to get a little bit further away from him because of his massive movement that he's going to... Those arms are very long. Sorry, that was a bad direction for me. So give him like about 1 meter. Yeah. That's good. Yes. And now there's another force that's pushing you here. Exactly. And then I feel at this point is really when the kind of the ritual kicks into you. Yeah. So it's like stage 2. Do you know what I mean? You've had like the taster. Now it's the main meal. Okay. Should we just carry on? So yeah, that yesterday, Ed, that was great. The exit. I think it worked very. Yeah. Yeah.
As she passed.
The timing was good as she went, and then you turn around, and yeah, that all worked well. Okay, so let's just carry on to this, and we'll do the exit, and then I'll carry on with Frankie. So go into the meal. Shum, shum, shum. Nice. Shum. Yes. I know, because it's like blowing you right away. I know. Is there anything... I mean, what's really lovely is when you push yourself against them.
Yeah.
But does that mean, do you want to angle it a little bit more that way? Is it because of this, is that?
Just because you want to really go for it when you get to it.
Yeah.
I just think I need to take more time.
Take more time and just anchor yourself down there. So I think what's great, when you did it on last week, Thursday, there was an amazing moment where you ran, you're like, I'm going to get you. But also use it to help you move away from them. As well. So when there's a fight, and that's what I want to discuss now, when there's a fight, go for the fight, which is great. So when you're going back on the arabesque over here, and you're going into that, I think it's quite nice that there's that aggression there. So you can really use, yes. And now let it, and then this is like pulling you away. Now you're floating. Great, yes. When you go to the assemblées, that's great, Frankie. That was good there. The winner's position. When you go to the assemblées, can you slightly travel a little bit more? So that they're going up, but it's going up and along. Do you know what I mean? Yes, that's pretty. Yeah. It's going up. Nice. Nice. Yes. And then just take a little bit of care. So there, just let the ground eat you up rather than falling into it. Yeah. Amazing. God, that's like an old school Graham contraction. Fantastic. Very nice. Carry on. Nice. And then this is the bit there, the leg. And I would really look straight across at that wind machine over there. And in a way, like, you can also play it that, you know, in Letty's head and in the kind of the rules of the piece, it's almost like the wind machines are invisible. They've just been creating the atmosphere that you're playing in. But I feel like at this moment, they really do take on a presence, that they become real. So I think you can really see these sort of like demon machines around you, almost in a kind of like sci-fi way. So that when you can really look at them and react to them, because they have such a power. Yeah. So you look at it there, fantastic. This is great, very nice. Going around, yeah. Nice, and it's the big moment, it's gonna come, and that's the absolute highlight of the fight, I would say. Okay. This one and the one at the end, yeah. So you can start your journey of, there it is, you feel like it's pulling you away, and it's taking you, like, no, I'm gonna run, and then and you go for it. So the moment you start from the floor, you can already be, once you're on the floor, you can already start thinking about the jeté going across. Okay, do you know what I mean? Okay, carry on. Nice. Nice. And just a little bit, sorry, Frankie, just a little bit on those bourrées. Just slightly always have that, like the moment when you arrive, that little bit of the upper back. Yes. Nice. Bah. Lovely. And I feel this is a strong moment here again. Do you think so as well? Like, I feel like here, there's some kind of, it feels like this like ritualistic thing is happening. And I feel like as you come out of it here, there's like, you're confronting this machine straight away before you go into this second, yeah.
This is another.
Is that the one where you ran?
Yeah, I had
That
to.
was the one, okay. So that is, do it like that, because it really looks great. Bah, nice. And you're gonna, nice. Whoosh. Nice. Lovely, good. And then we had that little moment where we thought about him. So we thought about the ghost. So as you're going here in this turmoil, you go here and it's like, is he there again? Yeah. You know? And then that takes you back to that ritual. So I think every time you go, there's somehow a calmness about this movement.
It feels like
which,
it as well.
yeah, which comes from him. So it's good that you go, is it him? And then it's like, oh, but he's kind of put that into you. Yeah, yeah. Nice, very nice. Bourréing back, round. This is very nice. Yes. Yes. That's nice though, but is there something to help you? Just how do you come out of the ground there?
Yeah, I need to push myself
Boom.
forward.
Do you want to bring your feet together and then sort of suiting it into it? Does that help you a little bit more? No, I think actually what you did before was nicer. Yeah. Sorry. Options. Yes. And then run. Yeah, nice. Boom. Yeah, and just get that shape. Actually, Natasha has a completely different version of this.
5
I must
minutes
talk to
after 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. Where we're gonna, where you really want to get that shape. Okay. Great. Boom. Fantastic. Right, and then this goes. Yes, very nice, Frankie. Yes. And here we go into the final bit. And then when you land over here, this is when the fabric should land. The fabric should be flying out over you. And that is really like the, you know, the wind making itself visible to you. And I think it'll be really nice that once you've landed there, that you sort of like look up at it that way. And then what you need to do, because it was a little bit dangerous what Natasha did last night, she would sort of jeté it straight underneath it. But I think you need to move yourself a little bit to the right of it. So it's coming out here. So as you run for the jeté and it gets released, that it might not land on you, because I was slightly worried that the fabric was going to completely cover her. And then you have that turn, and you just look at it. Yesterday it landed beautifully on the fence. It was amazing. And then you've got the ambiguous ending as we're going into the black house. Okay, should we go for a run of this? Frank, are you ready to go for this? Where do you want to go from, Frank? Can you go from...
Go from the start, setting up.
So is that the sound of the wind after the...
Yeah.
After the gunshot?
Yeah.
Okay. Frankie, I like to always ask, every time we do this, I like to ask Frankie to loosen her hair, because the character's hair comes down, and there's something about the moment she does that it sort of changes the way she moves. So should we unbun? Yeah. Yeah, and then you count it a few seconds, and then the pulling of the body, what used to be the pulling of the body theme comes in. Is that right, Frank?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going from end of gunshot, your reveal. Frankie's just having a little hair moment. It does make a difference. I mean, it's, you know. Nice. Okay, I'm going to just kneel over here and watch. So you've just gone bang.
Okay.
So silence. Sound. Wait for it, wait for it. Nice. Thank you. Wow. Really nice. Really, really nice. And actually, that struggle is what makes it really exciting. As we know, you're pushing through. It's great. And like all that stuff that happened on the floor, they're fantastic. Can I just give Ed a very quick note? Sorry, just right at the end, just before she comes here, can you just make eye contact with her there? And then as she starts at solo, just keep your eyes on her all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. That's it.
Thanks very much, Arthur. We're going to hear you a bit more later. Dancers. I think you're going to join us later. Dance, come join us. I don't know which of you's more out of breath. Give the microphone. Ed, I was just thinking about the times that you've worked with Arthur. Obviously, people here might remember the Metamorphosis that you did, the Kafka piece that you did with Arthur downstairs in the old Linbury, but you also did the duet with Wendy, and you've worked with him several times. What's it like when you come back in a studio with a choreographer that you've already worked with? Do you know what you're going to, are you expecting anything? Or?
No, obviously it's nice that it's someone you've worked with before and it's a familiar feel and you know you're there again because they've liked what you've done. It's always nice, but never go in knowing I know what this is going to be. Yeah. So it's a really open, ready to take on any challenge time. Yeah.
Great. And Frankie, have you got your breath back? I'm passing the microphone. And this is the first time that you've worked with Arthur. What's it been like as opposed to other? I mean, all choreographers work in a different way, but what's particular is how Arthur works with you?
I think the first thing I noticed about working with Arthur, which I absolutely love, is that he's really so keen to get across your character to you straight away. Yeah. And not just a general outline of your character, like every single layer. So even when you're about to do a scene, he'll tell you exactly where you just come from. Yeah. Why you were there, why you've come into this scene now, and all these things are so brilliant at shaping, what we've made.
Who you are as a character, yeah. And I suppose what everybody's going to be asking is, if you haven't already seen the ballet, there are 3 massive wind machines at the side of the stage, which I don't think go off throughout the whole 40 minutes. So you've got to dance against those. But does that actually help with your character, or...?
Most definitely for this ballet, yeah. Only for this ballet, I think. No, it's so... You can imagine what the wind feels like, but it just completely transforms when you're actually really being blown around and having that kind of... That feeling when you're on, on the beach and it takes your breath away almost. Like, that's how it feels. And, it's quite overwhelming. Yeah. And it really helps.
And Ed, do you want to just talk about the... we don't want to give too much away. The opening in terms of dancing against the wind there, because it's very strong. Is it technically actually quite hard?
It is. It's because there's some plastic in front of as well, which also makes a noise. So you've got the force of the wind and an extra noise, and the running towards the energy sometimes of that wind that's the challenge. But it feels like you are caught up and part of it, so it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm going to let you go and have a rest. We're going to see you do a little bit more rehearsal later. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. Thanks. Don't forget that we want to hear from you this evening, so please do get involved if you're watching the live stream and send us your comments, your ideas, by leaving your comments on the section on our YouTube page. But now, please, let's welcome Arthur Pita back. I'm just trying to think about where to start. There's so many questions. Let's start right at the beginning. You trained at London Contemporary Dance School.
That's right.
Did you always know you were going to be a choreographer?
Yes, I did. Since I was very young, I was always, whatever it was choreographer, but I was always curious about creating things. And it actually, started with a Hocus Pocus set at home. And and I'd always grab my cousins or my sisters when they were around, and I'd always dress them up and create some kind of show, and kind of perform it for the family. And I'd have I remember this one trick with a matchbox, and I'd have an empty matchbox, and I had my cousin hiding under the table, and then I would say something, and then he'd have to shake the real matches, and I'd just do that. And I used to just get such a thrill out of that.
So it was the early promise.
It absolutely was. So there was always something about sort of putting something together, which
Yes,
I got very excited about, and that's just always, it's always been like that.
And I was just thinking about the work that you've made in the last few years. I mean, your most recent work was, before this one, was Stepmother, Stepfather, but we've had The Little Match Girl, and we did Metamorphosis with Ed. Have you always been drawn to those sort of slightly weird, sinister tales? Is that something that, you know, you always knew you would go in that direction?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's the absurd that I'm really attracted to. And I think when you're making dance theatre, you always want to try and find a way to find a reason for the dance to happen. And it often, for me, I find there's a great freedom when there's something more metaphorical going on than just a straightforward story. And those stories, all of those stories actually sort of transcend into something else. So I get very attracted to those, and I think they lend themselves to the poetic language of dance very well.
And there's something that Frankie was just saying in terms of working with characters as well, because again, I suppose if you're working with those stories, you need to be able to find those characters within those strange stories. But I mean, is that something that has evolved as your work's evolved?
Yeah, absolutely. The characters, I'm absolutely fascinated and about people becoming possessed with the character, and I find that you know, I'm curious about work that is kind of autobiographical, and you see a dancer playing themselves, and I think there's a beautiful simplicity in that. But the moment you ask them to play another person, I think even a bigger part of themselves gets revealed within it. You know, because I think there are so many people inside us, you know, and sometimes you can pick that, you know, that, for example, working with the Metamorphosis, you know, I think there's a Gregor in everybody, but the moment you sort of ignite that in someone, and they start to pull it out and they start to make it come alive, you start to find something very interesting going on with the person, and then then the double layer starts to happen, where you see the soul of the person playing the character, but also the soul of the character coming out, and that starts to become quite fascinating. And then I get very excited, because I'm like, I've never seen that. Even, you know, I remember when we did the Metamorphosis, there were muscles on Ed's face that I would never have seen, that when I know him from day to day, but when he was in it, there were bits of his face, tiny bits of his face moving. It was just fascinating, because he was so in the character.
This is the piece that some of you will, or you might not know, but Ed gradually over the course of the performance gets transformed into a giant insect.
Yeah. Well, actually, from the beginning, and then it's Kafka's, Kafka's novella,
And so, sort of moving on to The Wind, when Kevin O'Hare, who's the director of the Royal Ballet, approached you about making a work for the Royal Ballet, did you have The Wind in your back pocket? Was that again one of those tales that you thought, that will be something I'd like to create at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a piece that I just felt that you would need the resources to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's not something you want to do really in a small way.
Yeah.
And because the Royal Opera House has such an incredible departments, sort of like the technical crew, the makers, the props, the makeup, the costume department, the armory department, which I feel like
we have a whole department.
Yeah, with the creative team, that you're able to suck those departments dry of what they can do. I mean, there's milliners, you know, who make. There's a beautiful room upstairs in the Opera House where they you know, you just want to go live with them, because it's so, and they're just making these hats all day. It's fantastic. So I knew that this piece would demand all of that.
Yeah.
And I felt like that then you could really do something for the main stage.
Yes.
Where it's something for the Royal Ballet, but really it's something for the opera house stage, which is the main stage, which kind of allows you to have all these gifts to play with.
I mean, was there something attractive as well in that? I mean, it was the book in 1925, but then there was a Simon film in 1928 that starred Lillian Gish. So was there something about sort of seeing the expanse of that film that also inspired
Absolutely.
you?
I went to go see the film probably about 14 years ago, and I had an immediate reaction when I saw Lillian Gish playing the character of Letty, and I was like, this is amazing. It's like a ballerina in an old dramatic ballet. And I thought that would make a fantastic ballet. And I immediately thought very specifically ballet, because I just immediately saw her on point. And so when the moment came with Kevin, it was kind of like, I was going, I know exactly what I want to do. It's interesting when you're stewing over something for a long, long time.
Yes, yeah.
And then at one point I thought, oh, well, maybe we'll just do like a small scale version. I was like, no, there's no point in doing it like that. You know, and then the opportunity arose, and it was just fantastic. And then also the other thing was reading the book, because I'd seen the film and I hadn't read the book. So then I picked up the book, and then I had even a deeper understanding and fascination for the piece, you know, became quite obsessed, because the writing is a very different experience from watching the film.
Because you've been reading the text, I think, in rehearsals or at the start of rehearsals with the dancers, haven't you?
Absolutely. Actually, the book is still in my bag, and I still, every day I just open it up, maybe just randomly, and just pick out a passage just to get some inspiration. But I highly recommend the book. It's a beautifully written book, and it's it's so descriptive, and it's a lovely read.
And I think you can watch the film as well, can't you? I think it's freely available as well.
Yes, you can.
So
And it's a fantastic book.
Yeah. And in terms of like actually tackling the book, and I think the film's a couple of hours long, or 90 minutes or so, but it's long. But you've condensed the story into 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes.
37?
37 minutes.
It was supposed to be 35. I don't know if it's run over. Absolutely. So that was the real challenge, because when Kevin said, okay, it'll be part of a triple bill, and it's in the middle, the narrative piece in the middle, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Because this, you know, the book is big and the story is big, and how are we going to expand it? So basically, in the story, there's a section where Letty's character, she goes and stays with her cousin, her cousin Beverly, who's a man, and his wife is very jealous of her, and she eventually kicks her out and tells her to get married so that she can just, you know. So I basically just chopped all of that, which actually felt like, and I think it was a good chop, because it's a very domestic part of the story. So I had to just head straight for the meaty bits, you know. And actually, just in a way, it was quite interesting, because once we got rid of that, it's like you just get the fat off the story, and you just home in almost to just sort of the bare bones of the story.
Yeah, and following that character.
Yeah, exactly. And so you want the meat of it to just sort of bleed beautifully, and not, you know, and not have any extra on it. So there is a way to get to the point. But I mean, and it's interesting. And then musically, it can ever so slightly expand and contract a little bit. And that's up to the performer, and I think that's important to make sure they have the time to really perform the scenes.
I think that's a good point to bring in your creative team, actually. Now we've got to talking about the wind. So please come and join us. Actually, Arthur, I might ask you to introduce your creative team.
Okay, so we have Mr. Jan Scarborough over here, who's our costume designer. And we have Frank Moon, who's our composer. And Frank also actually plays with the orchestra. He plays the violin and slide guitar. Is that it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. And we have Jeremy Herbert, who's our wind machine designer and set designer. And we have someone missing, it's called Adam Silverman, who's our lighting designer, who's in Jersey.
Right.
Well, he lives there, so he's gone home.
I think we should start, because it's called The Wind, with wind machines. Jeremy, do you want to tell us a little bit about how they came about? And I mean, I presume you had a discussion somewhere along the line, somewhere along the way, about the wind machines actually being on stage and visible.
Well, Arthur and I are old friends, and the wind machines. I'm an artist. I make things and do my own projects. But this was a research award to wonderful time experimenting about 10 years ago. And one of the things ended up making with these wind machines, I had this fantasy that, or it wasn't a fantasy as it turned out, this idea that it would be wonderful to be able to have at my command the wind, I mean, in a godlike way. But not the wind from a propeller fan like you see used on films and things, because that is turbulent and doesn't feel natural. I wanted to have real but silent wind that you could just stand in. It felt like the real thing. This was the project anyway, and that ended up with building a wind machine, an early version of what you see on stage.
Yeah.
So that I think Arthur came to see in my studio when I'd made this thing. We played around. It was in a room. You came, sat in the room. You sat in the wind in the dark, and I think, I can't remember exactly the version of events, but I think maybe Arthur showed me the film, or that's when I found out about the film itself, and of course it's fantastic. And so then it's been on the back burner all that time. So when this came up, I don't know, we did perversely think for a minute, we'll do it with no wind machines, we'll do it some other way. It seems so obvious, but actually, come on, it's just such a no-brainer. So we better just...
Should we, I think we've got some pictures actually, so for those of you who haven't yet seen the ballet, I think we can see the model box of, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
So that is the set, really. Arthur, I don't know whether you want to just explain a little bit about what we're looking at.
Yeah, so, I mean, Jeremy really provided the piece with a really beautiful, spacious setting where it's quite sort of Brechtian in a way, where it's very undescriptive, the set. We haven't gone for an old... it's set in the town called Sweetwater, but we haven't gone for that kind of like old rickety town with a tin sort of sign blowing. We went very... it's very...
It's quite pared down, isn't it?
It's a nice meeting of ideas. I think it's a nice meeting of ideas myself, because my taste is for things to be real. I like the real things. I like the real wind. I like the real railway line and everything that's in the set. So rather than make scenery, you've made something which actually does something. And I mean, what Ed and Frankie were saying about working with this real force, it really pushes you. I'm interested in performers being pushed to react to something real. Yeah. And so here, this is such an extraordinary thing to play with this real force, and that's what I think it brings to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wasn't trying to be descriptive.
Yeah. I mean, there was an interesting moment where we had discussions about the direction that the wind will blow in, because we didn't quite know. We had 3 machines.
This is 3, yeah.
And we had all different ways of placing them. We thought, oh, it'd be good if you do that, and you move them around. And then there was a day where we just lined them up on one side. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic, because when I go into the studio, I'll always know which direction it's blowing, so I can always choreograph it in a way to push forward and against, which is actually Ed's opening solo is always traveling alongside and forwards and back. And then eventually the machines, then they have a little journey of coming round for the second half of the piece, where they kind of horseshoe around the characters. But there was a lot of interesting discussion about just the placement of them, because they're very powerful. They have their own presence. Yes,
I mean, it's quite interesting, I suppose, Jan, in terms of the costumes, because they're not pared down costumes. They're quite similar to the look of the film, but you've sort of got to choreograph the costumes as well, haven't you, in terms of the material moving?
Because from the beginning we felt we should keep that silhouette, that Western period silhouette. And, oh yeah, here we go. And straight away, it was quite interesting points, because after they decided what the direction the wind machine would go, I felt, well, that's also be interesting if the costumes also have that kind of quality. So if you see, the costume is not only the drawings, it's like they're blowing, but actually they've been cut in angle. So if you see, the costume is not being designed to be static, they've been designed to be in motion. So I said, if you stop the machines, they will be like a very drab. But actually they work very well, do you know what I mean? But of course the movement is in 360 degrees, so was something Arthur understood later on, because we're quite lucky to have the machines for 2 weeks on studio.
We had the machines for 2 weeks.
Yeah, in the big rehearsal downstairs.
So, and for me, that was crucial, because I could understand the fabrics, I could use it, you know, because I want to keep a very strong silhouette. They look real. Yes. But I also want to amplify the wind. Yeah. So all the materials that I went to use was very soft, but they look heavy, but they're not heavy. Yeah. So that was the challenge I had with the makers and the dyers, etc.
Yeah, we had some interesting moments at my house when Jan would come with some fabric samples, and I was just so nervous that the costumes were going to blow, and we'd like put my fan on and hold the 5 different types of chiffon and layers and just try and see, and we're like, no, that's definitely, that one's not working. There'd be this like panic, because we just didn't quite know the power of the machines, and then we put someone in there, and it was like, wow, they are blowing.
They will blow for sure.
No, I was really worried there might be a sort of spinal tap moment when we got everything on stage, and everyone was going to see wind machines. They're amazing, aren't they? Germany going, yeah, fantastic. And stand there, and there'd be nothing, just nothing would happen. The tape would fall vertically down. We go, oh. Anyway,
and then, I mean, Frank, you've created the music. I mean, you and Arthur are long-term collaborators. But how did you work with sort of having to have the wind? I mean, where does that feature in your thinking about the sound and the wind and the cowboys and?
Well, the wind machines do have a sound. I mean, that's something we knew. And at the beginning, there's like sheets of polythene. Yeah, so that we knew that we didn't actually find out how loud that would be until quite late on, when we were on stage, but we knew that they would have a sound, but they're relatively silent, so the sound has come into the auditorium a bit. But also, I was thinking that the wind is running through the orchestra as its own kind of character. It's not static music at all. There's always some kind of dense little busy flurries that are like blustery things happening all the time, and there's also a layer of sound design that represents the wind, and there's some of that is recorded real instruments, some of it is synth, some of it is a little bit of real wind as well to give it that kind of unpredictable motion, and we've kind of blended that in with the orchestra, so there are it comes in many voices, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
I mean, you've worked together a lot, haven't you? Did the music come first, or which way around did you work?
Well, actually, Frank and I, we worked together a lot. And for this one, because the process that we sort of normally have is that we go into the room and Frank will come into the room and create alongside me and the dancers and be very present and start to develop themes, and then he'll go away and come back a little bit more. With this one, because we had to have the score ready before rehearsals.
Yes.
So we played a game, and I didn't tell Frank, did I tell you to read the book first or not? I can't remember.
No.
I think after.
Yeah.
So I said, look, we're going to do this thing. So here in the Claw Studio, we did a screening of the film.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't you improvise to the film?
Yeah.
And then maybe you'll pick up, one or two themes or something. Maybe just it'll give you a little gateway into the world. And I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but there might be a theme here and there because there's similar images, and because it's a silent film, and often you'd have a company as playing to silent films. So I thought Frank could just do his thing, and that did, didn't it?
Yeah. I was doubtful whether it actually, the sort of trying to improvise a 90-minute film score on my own with several instruments, whether I actually come up with anything. But there was. We recorded it, and there are maybe 2 or 3 ideas from that have become main themes in the piece. Yeah.
Yeah,
so it was a good game, Arthur.
Yeah, it was a good game.
And I suppose, just in summary, it's obviously called The Wind, but for you, what's it really about? Is it about the sort of force of the wind, or is it about Letty, and is she a victim to the wind? Well,
I think it's so metaphorical, and there's so many layers. I think that the wind, and I think you can play it differently. I think it can be fear. I think it can be anxiety. I think it can be a dark force. I feel like it can be something that is empowering and encouraging. It depends at which point, but it's definitely a playful force.
Yes.
Because it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
And it might catch you at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And her journey with it is absolutely that it drives her to her nerve end. And that's how Dorothy Scarborough wrote it, that the wind was the enemy, particularly of women, which is fascinating. And the way she describes it is because women have children, it means that they have to provide for the children, which means that the husband, has to cut into the land, which therefore means that the wind it breaks the force of the wind, because the wind needs a flat land to have its power. Yeah. So it's kind of this particular battle with women, and the film has a happy ending, which actually Lillian Gish didn't want to do. She wanted to do the ending of the book, which is a much darker ending. So part of the reason actually of doing this piece is I felt like I was slightly in a little bit of to kind of get Lillian Gish's wish. Lillian Gish's wish. Because I thought the audience should experience it in that way of what the ending is, because it's so ambiguous about what really happens there. And because the film has the happy ending and the man comes back and she's not afraid anymore and she wants to be a good wife, isn't it all how Dorothy Scarborough explains it? So it is a big question about what it is. It's, in a way, that's the absurdity of that kind of writing that I love. And I think it's up to the audience to figure that out as well.
Fantastic. On that note, we're going to watch a little bit more rehearsal.
Okay.
Do you want to just tell us which bit we're now going to, what you're going to rehearse now, and which bit of we're now in?
So the character of Letty she's just met all the cowpunchers and the pioneer women who have come to kind of have this ritual, which is almost like a cattle branding ritual, the start of the new cattle season, a little bit like kind of a rite of spring type of feeling, a new beginning, a new season. And she has met Liege Hightower, who's going to be played today by Thomas Mock.
Yep.
And he's taken a shine to her, but they don't really know each other.
Yep.
And what happens is the bad guy comes in, Wirt Rhodey, and he can almost smell this beautiful new flower that's arrived fresh from Virginia, and you clearly know that he's the bad guy, and they have a little standoff. But just before things get too bad, a storm comes, which I think is what the wind itself, the power of the wind, creates to stop that tension, to allow things to move on. And a storm comes, which is what Ed will dance now.
Fantastic.
And we're just going to go through that. And then that leads into the wedding scene. And the wedding, it's very difficult, and I'll explain a bit more, but the music is very, very sweet, but there's an uncertainty about the relationship.
Something brewing in the background.
Yeah, and she also has a 6-meter veil blowing in one direction, which unfortunately we can't do in this room, but it's quite a
fantastic image, isn't it?
Thing on its own, it's like a very Chagall type of image. Yeah.
Great, fantastic. Can I just say a big thank you to the creative team for coming and joining us. I'm going to let you go and get ready.
Yeah.
Tonight is part of ROH Students. If you are a student, do go to our website where you can join the thousands of other students who are already making the most of dedicated tickets, last-minute standby tickets, exclusive events, and many other benefits. So do take a look.
Okay. So I'm just explaining to you, we're just going to do this bit now, which is, like I said, it's this tension has happened and then this storm has arrived. And Ed's character is he's very connected to nature, particularly the wind. And he's almost, we feel like he kind of relishes in the storm and the power of it. And then towards the end, he sort of calms the storm down so that the next event can move on. So it's also like a time-passing dance, as well as him sort of being almost like a shaman and casting spells in this space. And also, we have our 3 wind machines over there, and we have 3 very long black taffeta fabric blowing above Ed, which are quite unpredictable. And one of them sort of kissed his face last night. Yeah, and he very, just kind of moved out of it. So there's room for him to move around in this. And then just also another interesting thing, which I thought people might find interesting, is that in creating this material, I found this amazing book with Native American sign language, which is a very real thing and really existed in the turn of the century period, which is obviously when Native Americans had to communicate not only with each other in different tribes, but also, of course, also with the settlers. And they're very simple but quite beautiful gestures. So we found that there's a language there that he can almost speak in different ways and kind of almost slightly narrate the story with this language, which we kind of integrated into the choreography. So we're just going to go through that, and then you can just have a little insight into that. So yeah, so the first one is the prairie. Yeah, so this is gesture for prairie, and it starts off with that, and then we go into some movement. And that was really nice yesterday. I should say your focus was great. Did you take it out yesterday, which was really great? Okay, just carry on. And then what was that?
Death.
Death. So then we go into death, which is what's coming, and that's the handout, and you're going with the arm under. And while he's doing that, he's turning. So you're seeing these chaînés, and he's slowly turning into that, which then leads into picking up the dust of the desert. We then fly across. We then go into bad. So obviously there's bad things going on in the space, and we go into uncertain. And then we go into very uncertain. So for some reason, you have uncertain and you have very uncertain, which must have been, I think it must have definitely been like a bartering thing about when they were communicating. But we love this gesture, astonish, yeah. And we did that part first, and as you turn, you did that part, yeah. That's really great, yeah. We keep going. Then we go into crazy. So that's also part of, yeah, and that's a very, but because there was actually a real condition called prairie madness, which was really about people living in isolation in the prairie and kind of, being driven to madness. So I think that must have been also prevalent with Native Americans. So I think it's just a fantastic gesture, which we did in our plie. And then we have gunshot, and that is gunshot, gunfire. That is the gesture for wind. Actually, the real gesture for wind is forward, but we felt like that looked a little bit hula. So we actually felt it was nicer to go with the machine. So we have adapted that. Hopefully the thing. And then we have afraid, which is also a really nice gesture. It's just the two fingers contracting. Afraid. What was that one? Death. Oh, death again, yes. Oh, arriving. Death arriving, yes. Into future. Future, yes. Darkness. Blood. I like these. What was that? Blood. Alone. Yeah, blood, alone. Attack. Attack. Speak. Yes. Worry. Afraid. Astonish. Now we mix them up. There's lots of hours of fun in the room playing with all of these. Gunfire. Alone. So I really wanted the solo, as a structure of a solo, I wanted it to start off abstracting it, and then by the end I wanted to feel like he was just kind of speaking almost to nature itself. So it's kind of throwing all this language out in a kind of shamanistic way. As time is passing, also because we see him straight away at the beginning, also telling us what's the case. So he connects to Letty's character straight away. We then go into the next bit. So we finish with the prairie, and then we have our married couple, the newlyweds coming on. So let's start with you guys. Yeah, I'm just going to mark through you guys, and then we'll just like run the whole section. So I was going to say, when you did it last week, Thursday, absolutely perfect expression. Yeah, perfect expression. You did the uncertainty like so well, and like I said, I think this is really the third time you're actually together. So it's the first time you met, he liked you, And then he came to the house where you were staying with his Mayara and the kid. They took you in for a bit. He arrived there for a cup of tea and to ask you to marry him. And you said yes. And then you arrive at the wedding. So that they really don't know each other. And I think this was, very common. And it's quite a good setup for the story. But then, of course, there's the juxtaposition of the music, but I think it worked really well. And then also when the veil was blowing, it's the most sort of absurd wedding day that one could have. Trying to sort of, be joyous in this condition. So Ed, should we just do this transition? So did you see that when I made a quick little change the other days and I brought everybody on much quicker, so there's a nice cross through with Ed. But I think you absolutely come in with the same energy that you did the other day. Okay, so Ed does the prairie, and then he does the gesture of future and together as well. And he goes together, and then everybody's crossing, and we're wiping the scene. And do you give them a look, Ed? Did you have a... Oh, because you're disappearing over there. Okay, yeah. All right, we get over here, and then we have a real ceremony with a priest, played by Rhys Clark, or Lucas. And, okay, so there's the Bible. I'll do the ceremony very quickly. So I'm holding the Bible, and we just go for this. This is all fantastic. You did very uncertain, and then there's a little, yes, I do, and there's a little bit, yes, I do, and you don't even look at each other. And he goes, good luck, and then he takes it away. And now we go into this first moment, yeah. So let's just mark this through. So let's just go for that first lift. So there's something really, really nice about how it just absolutely floats. Yeah. So let's just go into it. So we go there, and she goes up, soft, and down. That's great, Frankie, that expression. Fantastic. Yeah. This is lovely, good. And you're working with the veil. Okay. That's great. Very, very nice. Very nice. And then we drop into that. Very good. Yeah. And then, just remember that I think what happens now is you're almost going to go for that second position over there because it does blow. Yeah. We just had a lot of knickers because of the dress blowing up when she opened her leg every time towards the wind machine. And and then the music started. This is great, very nice. And then we go up into the Chagall, what I call the Chagall moment. And then we accelerate a little bit. And you have your energy, Thomas, that's great. Uh-huh. Now, you could have come a little bit further this way, because you do have a little bit more space. Yeah, you can eat it. Not too much, because we don't want to lose the force. But, yeah, but don't worry about it now. So just carry on, and then...
How close would you like us to the machine for this?
I think you need it quite close, because I think it helps get it up and out. Yeah. And I would say just also think of that being quite nice. Think of it being quite ceremonial, so you're going to see the placement of each hand. So it's really, I really enjoy seeing the grips. So really make a meal of the grips. Yeah, so it's offer and take and then go. This is good. Oh, lovely. Yeah, you've nailed this one now. Nice. Okay, and then off you go. Then now here, Thomas, actually a note from the other day, which is you could get slightly more angled. Yeah, so you want to get to like machine 2. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 5 minutes. Okay. And we're going to go through, and then we're going back. Fantastic. And then we're going to fly straight across. Boom. Very, very good. And now we go into the moment. Yes. So let's try it. Very good. So what makes you... Fantastic. So there's that little moment when you go, ugh. Do you just want to tell Thomas what it is that you want?
I don't know. I think we talked about it. So.
You've spoken about it.
Also because it happens right by the machine.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So you're getting a bit of like a...
I'm trying to be steady for him, but I'm trying not to.
Would it help if Frankie just almost makes herself heavier? Almost the opposite for you. But I think if you almost push down onto him, I think that will just maybe make you feel more anchored. And he's so strong, he's just gonna, and you're tiny, so he's gonna take you up. Should we just see how that goes in the run? Okay, let's pretend. Okay, so Frank, we're just gonna go from Storm, and we're just gonna run Ed's solo, and then now you can be aware of the secret language, and we'll run straight into the wedding.
Okay. Here it comes.
Oh, I see, so this is everybody. Great. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sadly, that is all we've got time for this evening. But we've had some great comments via social media. But we've had people from all over the world watching tonight, from the Netherlands, Italy, Brazil, Cameroon, Germany, Lithuania, Chile, USA, Sweden, Russia, and many more. A couple of really nice comments. Such a privilege to be able to watch this live. It's good to see Ed Watson. I like watching him work. Don't forget, you can see Arthur's new work, The Wind, here at the Royal Opera House until the 17th of November. There are a few tickets left, so do have a look at the Royal Opera House website. So just to say a very big thank you to all those who have joined us this evening. Thank you. And of course, a very big thank you to our wonderful audience here in the Claw Studio at the Royal Opera House, and to all of you from all over the world who've been watching the live stream. Thank you and good night.